Hello guys, welcome to a new series, Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. This is Azteca, and this is a new series that I want to be bringing to you on a game that I've been playing recently. It's a pretty fun game despite it being in early access, still kind of a couple glitches and whatnot that the developers are working out at Tale Worlds. Pretty good game, pretty fun game in my opinion. And we're going to be diving into this game and doing a walkthrough and just kind of trying to establish our own kingdom and conquer the lands of Calradia. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in to the campaign. And in the campaign, you can choose from, before you start, you can choose 6 different factions, and each faction has its own cultural perk. And we'll see here that here are the 6 factions. And we'll go into each one individually real quick and break it down and give you my opinions on it. Each one has its own unique perks depending on your playstyle and what you're looking to do. Some are more useful than others, and I'll go ahead and get started with the one that I find the least useful. Now, if you don't agree, again, it's just my opinion, but it also depends on your guys' playstyle and what you guys want to do. So don't take this as completely golden, but the way I like to play and the way I'm trying to play this campaign, the least useful, for my opinion, is the Sturgians. The Sturgians are going to be based in the north. That's where their main castles and territories are going to be. And each faction relatively starts off about the same. The perk that it gives is 20% less speed penalty from snow, as you can see here. And each one will have its own unique one. But in my opinion, this isn't as useful unless you're planning on being up in the north, primarily most of the time, doing some trade with hardwood and whatnot. This isn't necessarily the best perk, in my opinion. Of course, if you want to go ahead and play like the northern burly, cloak, kind of like the guy that you saw on the front screen, the front loading screen, he has a big old bear cloak and stuff like that. If that's the way you're going, then I would highly suggest going with the Sturgians. They're a rugged band. Their infantry units are pretty useful. But their perk, I don't find that relatively useful. Yeah, in the winter, about half the map is covered, but the rest of the year, the snow cover isn't that extensive. The next one would be the Battanians. Battanians kind of remind me of like the times where, the Roman Empire was marching into England and there was Hadrian's Wall and that whole, you've seen the movies on it, Eagle or whatever it's called, with Channing Tatum. But these guys, in my opinion, are a little bit better perk wise than the Sturgians, because in here the forest gives 10% less speed penalties to parties. So that's kind of useful. That's kind of neat because there is a lot of forest throughout the map. But in the southern regions, half of the map, there isn't a lot of forest. But it is a fairly useful one. The next one is the Khuzaits, and they're kind of like the Genghis Khan type model here. And their mechanism is actually, their perk is actually relatively good, and especially because horse archers and horse infantry or horse cavalry is really useful. You get 10% extra speed for horsemen on the campaign map, so that's kind of nice. Movement is really key in this game, so moving around saves you time, gets you to point A to point B. You can do trade or wage war quicker, get away from units and whatnot. So it's actually kind of a useful one that I probably will play later on, and I might make a series on it. But it's a pretty useful trait unless you want to go with like a heavy infantry one like the Sturgians or Landians. I'd recommend just trying to focus on using cavalry and horses with the Khuzaits. Azurai would be my next choice. It's really good for trading, and they're based out in the south in the deserts, as you can see here, kind of like the rise of the caliphates, the Muslim caliphates during the Dark Ages, 10,000 or 1000 AD. That's kind of how it kind of reminds me of. The caravans are 30% cheaper to build, 10% less trade penalty. So that's actually really nice when you're doing caravans. Can be a great. They're vulnerable, but they're a great source of income. So this is definitely a route you want to take if you want to focus on the trading aspects. And then in my opinion, the best one is the Vlandians. Now, they give 20% upgrade XP to troops from battles. So you're going to be doing a lot of battles. It's going to be super useful to get upgraded, to get a really good army going. Before your units die off and stuff like that, they get a lot more XP and get better equipment, so they don't die as quickly. You have better troops quicker. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's very useful, especially when you're fighting other factions. You can, pick off looters and stuff, whatnot, and gain XP a lot quicker and have a more professional army to take over territory and lands, if that's the play style you want to go through. And in my opinion, or not in my opinion, the faction that I want to go with is the Empire. Now, the Empire, we're going to be trying to restore the Empire through our own ways. Kind of like a Julius Caesar-esque type way. We're going to be kind of revolting in a sense and kind of wanting to, declare ourselves essentially the Empire and conquer Caldaria. So this is the faction that I choose to go with. They have a 20% speed bonus to Traum projects, wall repairs, and siege engines. It's very useful, very helpful, especially when you're taking over different territories and settlements. This is very nice. So we're going to be using this perk to hopefully advance our nation. All right, guys, and here we are at the basically creating your character background. Now, this is actually fairly important, so you guys really should look through all these options and see what best suits your playstyle. Now, I recommend if you're a starter to focus on horse and to focus on bow. Not completely on horse because you can level that up fairly quickly, but it has breaks down into basically 6 different categories, and with each 6 different categories, you're going to get different perks within them. So as you can see here, vigor, increasing your vigor is going to help your one-handed, two-handed, and polearm, so on and so forth through all of these guys. And now when you choose a background, you're going to be able to get certain perks. It's going to increase one of the main attributes that you have. And in the game, you have attribute points, skill points, and then leveling within each individual skill. So like you have, as you increase through polearm, as your focus is in polearm, you're going to be able to open up perks within the polearm, so like increased damage and whatnot. So we'll just go through this one. I kind of like foresters already because it's going to give you plus attribute and control. It's going to give you a focus point in bow, and it's going to give you a focus point in scouting. Fairly useful things when you're running around the map, so I really like this one the best. But if you're like, trying to focus on trading, then definitely go with urban merchants. But again, it's up to your playstyle. So this is the way I'm going to go. This way I feel is easier for me early on in the game, because earlier in the game, it seems to be the most difficult part of the game. After you kind of get out of the early stages of the game, you who can move around more freely, trade more freely, it starts opening up as you progress. So I'm gonna go with that. If I remember correctly, I do like to go with leadership because it gives you this leadership focus, even though you can't really quite use it until you are in a faction and start using the army. That's the best way to raising an army is the best way to gain points in leadership. Tactics is also a really nice perk, a skill rather. Getting a focus point in that is not bad at all. Again, if it depends on your play skill or your play style. If you want to go with athletics, that's good for doing tournaments and stuff like that. So again, try to figure out what your style is. I'm just going to be playing my style, and again, this is mostly geared to the early parts of the game. It will affect you later in the game because you don't have focus points or attribute points in certain areas. So try to focus and maybe narrow down a certain type of skill or playstyle that you want to go through. I think I'm going to go with your way with people because I am kind of like that anyways. Uh, Leadership is good, charm is good, and it gives us a point in the social attribute, which is also very helpful, especially when you consider trade being a part of that. So it's going to actually push your trade focus a little bit further too as well. Um, Hunted small game is the next perk background that I want to go with. Increases my tactics and increases my bow. So more likelihood that I start with a bow, which is what I'm trying to do. And then I will ride with the scouts. This is going to be the first riding attribute, and it's also going to give me a point in endurance and also a focus point in bow. So that's very useful. Another one is not too bad if you want to go with roguery and raiding and the raiding type style. Roguery is a way to go with it. So keep that in mind again. Like I said, when you're picking your background, throwing here, one-handed here. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Road with the Scouts just because of that bonus bow. I could go back because I think there's another bow that you can choose from. So I could go with Train with the Cavalry. Gives me a point and pole arm, which I like. I like using the pole arm on horseback. So here, you treated people well gives you a point in stewardship. Stewardship is great. We're going to be focusing kind of like an honorable style playthrough. It's kind of boring because I do like killing some characters, especially some ones that I don't find incredibly nice. But as you see here in your young adulthood, you actually gain extra points. You get perks here, which is +1 to mercy, generosity, and honor, and you get 5 renown. I kind of like the calculating one. You see here, calculating. It's a part of your dialogue lines that you have with some of the characters if you're trying to convince them to join your faction and whatnot. But again, keep an eye out on the perks that it gives. Smithing. Smithing isn't particularly something that I focus on. I do use smithing, but it's not something I necessarily want to focus on. I already got a point in endurance. And I haven't gotten a point. Well, I have gotten a point in social intelligence. I'm kind of neglecting here. But these ones are medicine you can get throughout the game as you recover with yourself and with your party. Let's go with this one's not bad with the tactics. I kind of do like increased tactics. It helps you move around the map and whatnot. Let's see. Calculating and 10 renown already. Or you treated people well. Oof. Where does the attribute point go into that one? Cunning. I'm going to go with cunning. Now, as you see here, I think this is our last option. And you know what? I am going to go back because I'm going to want to point into stewardship, and then none of these offer points in stewardship. At least get a focus point already in there. And there's no point that you can get off of intelligence. You can get one off of control and tactics here. You drove them off with arrows. Get a good start on your bow, and then start putting points into riding and anything else that you might like. And I think that might be the way I go. And you know what? I'm a little concerned that I have a sword already. I'm going to go with this one. And you see how my focus points are a ton in bow, and I don't really want that. I'm going to go with intelligence here. Because I need a boost and an attribute boost, and it's so difficult sometimes to pick through. I think this is the way I'm going to go. To get that extra bow, I want to make sure that I get the bow when I fight as one of my primary weapons. I think I'm going to go with that. Okay. And then you could choose your name. And in this playthrough, we're going to be taking inspiration from one of Caesar's legions, Legio IX Hispana. And of course, I am Azteca, so I'm going to go with, of course, the Hispana Legion. And it was one of his famous legions that he used. It was one of the 4. It wasn't his most famous legion, but it was one of his top legions. Probably his second best legion. It existed right around the time of Christ, right around 0 BC, a little bit before, obviously, because Caesar, but it even existed after Caesar, and helped fight against Mark Antony, even though Mark Antony was kind of his ally. But nevertheless, after that, after about 200 AD, you didn't really hear much of Legio IX Hispana. So just keep that in mind. I just thought that was kind of neat. So we're going to make our banner based on that. So here you could choose your difficulty. I'm going to go with realistic, and veteran. Oh, oh, oh. And I think you can change these throughout the game. I've never actually looked at it. So veteran. Challenging, I'm not quite there yet, but I want you guys to get a piece of the action and see what I'm doing in gaming. So I'm going to enable death, and then we're just going to go ahead and get into the game. And the first thing you're going to get into is going to be a training ground area. So it's basic These guys always kill me with their eyes. I don't know what it is, but they're always usually dark and they got some like crazy looking eyes. Now he looks a little bit more normal, but still. Anyways, this is the tutorial, so they're going to show you how to use everything and whatnot and give you the basics of the game. I'm going to go ahead and skip this. I've already gone through all this, but I highly recommend it for those who are not familiar with this game. So then we're going to go ahead and start, and they're going to place us right onto the map. So the map is just click and point, and your army travels with you, and that's basically the main perspective in this game. So we're just going to leave here. And a few hours later, after you leave the training ground, you come across a wounded man lying under a tree. You share your water with him and try to dress his wounds as best you can. He tells you he's a traveling doctor. To thank you for your help, he hands you a small bronze artifact, which he says was once given to him in payment by a warrior who said it was related to the Neretzes folly. He suspects that it might be of great value. You resolve to find out more. So this is going to be your main quest in the storyline in the game, so it gives it to you right away, and we'll break down basically how and what to do with it. So we're going to do, our family name is going to be Legio Hispana. Okay, and just hit done. And then the banner for the Legio Hispana Legion was actually a bull. So I'm looking to see if there's anything close to a bull, and I don't believe there actually is. This would be probably the closest, but it kind of looks kind of funky. Maybe this one here. I kind of like that one. That looks like a bull to me. A very decorated bull. Maybe that's like the nose ring. Could be a deer. I'm going to say it's a bull. If you guys say otherwise, y'all are crazy. But these are like the actual like Roman default type banners that you see a lot of the time. The Holy Roman Empire also had banners very similar to that, but I don't see a bull. That's kind of sad. But we're gonna go with that one. Could go with a horseshoe, I guess. And you could choose. There's a whole range of things here, and we're gonna go, of course, choose the colors, and that's pretty much the colors that the Legio had. And we're gonna see here. That's how our shield looks. Pretty crazy. I went with a bald character. A little bit of facial hair. That's about as much facial hair as I can grow, so that's what I figured I'd go with. But I figured a bald, tan-looking guy is kind of like a legionary type-looking player, so we're gonna go with that. And then we're gonna be able to move around. So if we click here, we're gonna get a point right away, and we're gonna have a point in marksman. That's gonna be nice. It's kind of what I was aiming to get. That way I can use my bow on horseback, and then we also have a choice to increase our focus. So like I was saying earlier, you have attribute points here, which increases your vigor, your individual vigor, your endurance or whatever. It increases the focus on all of those 3 traits in each individual attribute. And then you see here your focus points, and then like I chose here, this is the actual point within the actual skill tree that you can level up. So these are the skill trees, and each one has its own individual one. And the developers are going through right now and actually redoing all these perks. Some of these are locked here, and I don't know exactly what that means if they're not actually active and usable, which is kind of frustrating, but I know there's been a lot of glitches with the perk tree, and the developers I know are rolling out new ones and working on each individual one patch by patch. So looking forward to get that sorted out. But let's go ahead and choose a focus point, and we're gonna go with riding, because we're gonna be doing a lot of riding and running around. I'm gonna be doing primarily most of my fighting on riding. Now, if you're looking to do tournaments, I highly suggest you do athletics and like one-handed. Because they usually give you a one-handed weapon at the end of each tournament. So definitely a way to build renown and get some good items in the process. So as we put a focus point in, it increases our learning rate of that specific skill by whatever it is. And you can just hit reset to reset the tree, and it resets the perk you chose. So just redoing that now, and then we're done. And the very first thing I want to do is start recruiting troops, because you're out there by yourself. You can solo a lot of these guys, but just keep in mind that it is kind of difficult. If you do get caught early on, it's a little bit hard to recover from, and I'm not aiming to get captured at any point in this campaign. Maybe later on when I have more established army or empire or whatever, that might be okay, doable, but let's go ahead and jump right in. So we're going to go to the first town we see here, Tevea. And we see here the game spawns random enemy units, mostly looters, bandits, and then of course other armies that are traveling through. And we're going to be actually keeping an eye out for leaders of other factions. As you can see here, as we zoom out, you're going to see the entire map. And you see here that there are different areas. And each faction kind of starts off in its own area. The Kuzites, Sergians, you got here the Northern Empire, Western Empire, and Southern Empire. From what I can tell, the Southern Empire seems to do really well. Of course, it depends on what you're doing as a character. And here the Vlandians, the Battanians, the Azurai are down here, like I was saying, the deserty type regions. And the steep region is the Kuzites, kind of like Genghis Khan coming in from the east, you see here. So this is basically the default area for everybody, regardless of where you start. So we're going to go in, look to see if we can buy some product. Not really the main concern right away. You want to kind of establish a 3-city trading route if you can. I do like to go down into the south and picking up desert horses. Investing in that is a little bit expensive, but it definitely pays off because the Azurai horse and the desert horses, they pay for a lot in the northern regions. And there's different areas like hardwood sells high. Look for areas that have tons of numeric amounts of something, because that usually means that it's going to be selling quite low in that area. So that's just a quick rundown on the trading. Here's your equipment and whatnot, and we start off with 2 grain. I'm going to buy a couple grain because food, oh, never mind. I have no inventory space, I forget. So what we're really going to do is recruit some troops here. No quests. The way you can do quests, like little minor quests, you go to settlements and you look for here. You look here at the people, and when you go to settlements, you can see here Poros will have a keep, and you can eventually access that keep and get to the nobility and get noble quests and stuff like that that tend to pay off, but seem to be a little bit more complicated. So we're just going to leave here. We have 3 troops, and I'm going to go here to the Midlands Palfrey, and we're going to see if we can't pick up some horses to help us ride along. As you see here, there's only 2 of each, so I'm not going to buy that much. Sumpter horse is the cheapest horse, and I'll buy 2 of those. But remember, you only start off with 1,000 dinars, and you have wages that you need to pay. So keep that in mind as you go throughout these lands. But it increases our carrying capacity and also increases our speed. So when you have footmen, they jump on the horses to travel around if they're not being used to haul around, your inventory, and the footmen can jump on and help speed up your marching and whatnot. So we're just going to kind of float around and look for small... oh, I forgot to... Oh, no! He's chasing me. I didn't even see he's chasing me. I almost ran right into him, so be careful. These guys will definitely go after you, but you're usually faster than them, so you can just outrun them like I did there. Still no quests. Nope, there's sheep producer, and I'm going to recruit some more troops. And as you get a relationship, I have base -2 with this guy, probably because of my traits. It's either because I'm calculating and he's devious, or I'm merciful and he's devious, or I'm honorable and he's devious. So he's already doesn't really like me, so I don't have access to his troops. As you get better reputation with each of these individual characters, it allows you to access higher levels of troops, like the Imperial Archer, and even higher units and more of them. So keep that in mind. Alright, we have a issue here, and this one is deliver the herd to Amatatis, and if you look and hit the N key, you can what was it? Oh, I already messed up. I already forgot. AMI. So you hit that N, AMI, then you can see where it's at. Hit track here, and it'll come up on your menu. You're going to see it right there because it's out of vision, and as you go to it, it'll be right here. So actually, that's not too far, and we can even hit Lakaron on the way through. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk to them, and it's going to bring you into the settlement. So that's kind of a little bit of a quasi-open world, and you're going to talk to Euchre of Cantarion. Hey, sorry, I don't think I know you. I'm Estekka, and who are you? I'm Yukor. I own land around here. I speak for many of the people of the village. Great. I heard you have some problems. You need some help with some problems. Some of the families in the village need to raise a bit of money. They've put together 10 Midlands parfrey in Ametateus, but with all the banditry on the roads, they can't drive it there on their own. We're not merchants or landowners. We can't afford any losses. Tell me, how can I help? If you're going in the direction of Ametateus, you can perhaps take our herd to Ganymnos the tanner. They're just going to turn him into leather. Some villagers will come along and help you to drive the animals. Any other way? You can leave a companion here. So it gives you the option and how much they're going to pay. I will pay $400 or $400. What do you say? They say, don't worry, I'll deliver the Midlands Parlfrey personally to Ganymnios the Tanner in Ametatis. All right. So we got our first quest, and as you can look here, we're on our horse, and it's late in the afternoon, I bet, or early morning. So the sun's kind of down, but you kind of have like an open world. Of course, you can't. If you leave the area, you leave and just go to the big world map. So if you hit Alt, you can see all the different characters of importance and different like workshops or areas within a settlement or a village. So hold tab to get out. So here we are. We're going to recruit these troops, and we're going to start kind of heading to Ametateus. I'm going to hit Lycaron on the way there. Actually, yeah. Mountain bandits are kind of strong early on. I think they have throwing weapons, so if they hit you with a throwing weapon, you're pretty much gone. So as you see here, there's some things that passively increase. Azteca gained a skill in scouting to 21, so keep an eye on that. It'll kind of notify you when your character is leveled up. So as you walk around or ride around the map, you also get riding skill. If you dismount, you get athletics. So a nice, easy way to get your athletics up. We're going to go to the Tavern District. Mollum Coalbiter. Let's see what he is. He's a fighter. He can put down some 200 damage, and he has good athletics. So these are definitely guys you can recruit. I don't have the money right now. Definitely not the main thing that I want to focus on. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to town, recruit some troops. They're all recruited, so somebody's been through here. And if nothing happens, I'm just going to cut out this part, and we'll head on to the next part of the video as we get something interesting to do. Alright guys, so actually we're here in a battle with looters, and I forgot to show you guys before the build up to this. We ran into a group of 6 looters, and you can hit Alt and see where they're at. And I'm basically just going to kite these guys around as I kind of soften them up for my recruits to be able to hit them later. And now your riding increases as you fight here, as you land. You can see on the left side of the screen, I'm getting points. And you see that I gained a level. And that could happen at any point in this game, so just keep an eye out for that. You want to ride around. You don't want to waste your focus points on just sitting in the leveling screen without using them. You want to use them right away. So, and then I'm just going to hit F1, F3 to charge, and we're going to charge. That's the one thing I'm not very good at, sending these guys in. I kind of go in first, but they're throwing rocks at my guys. Oh, missed. And there we go. And you can't hurt your guys, just so you know. So don't be too afraid with that. I think under challenging you might be able to. But we won. First victory for Azteca of the Legio IX Hispana. Gain some renown, gain some morale, and gain some of their items. So I'm going to put this hood on because I have nothing else, might as well. And these are the 10 horses that we're on the quest with, and we're actually getting closer to Ametateus. So we'll keep progressing here. You can speed that up a little bit. I don't really recommend to speed up because it can get you in some trouble. I almost got in trouble earlier, like I showed you guys. Alright, now that we're in here, I didn't do this in the last area, and I always forget to do this. One, I'm gonna get some troops. We're going to talk to Gamnios the Tanner. So let's go ahead and talk to him. And now we're actually going to be in the center of the city. I'll show you guys that. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so I don't know you. I suppose you should tell me your name. My name is Azteca, sir. May I ask yours? I am Jamnios, the merchant here in Ametateus. I own a tannery here. Great. I know your name. I hear you recently caught some bandits. Speaking as a merchant, we appreciate any efforts to make on the road to make the road safer. I say about the task Ucor of Cantaria gave me. All right, and then just go ahead and click through this, and we're gonna be giving him the herd, and we have the option of keeping it, but I'm not interested in doing that and getting issues with some of the local merchants and whatnot. Definitely not what I'm looking to do. But here's the keep, the town center, and as you hit Alt, you can see all these different people, tanneries, taverns. You can go into the tavern yourself, go to the waterfront, go to the silversmith, and we're going to be buying workshops soon. That's going to be one of the first things we invest in. So we'll keep an eye out on that, and I'll show you in future videos how to do that and what to look for. So we're going to look at the trade tab. I didn't do this in the last city. And we're going to see what they have here. Usually under the miscellaneous tab, you're going to see what they have. Wow, they have a ton of grain for sale. So I'm going to pick up some grain. It's really cheap. You see how they have so much? It's inundated with grain. And we might actually be able to sell this off. It doesn't give us, we don't have the trading skills, but as we increase our trade, it gives us the ability to hear rumors and what's best sold. But for right now, that's probably their best thing. Meat's a little high, but everything else seems a little high. So we'll pass on the rest of the stuff. We'll take some grain. No big deal. And we increased our dinars. So that's great. And we're at 7 units. We want to get to around 20-ish units, and that'll keep us safe from raiders attacking us. And I'm just going to kind of float around in this area. I'm going to go down to Poros, see if there's anything that we can't buy down there, or even Zionica. I'm going to kind of stay around the Empire areas, but there's some big looter armies around. Focus on the looters. They have a harder time killing you, so you don't get as many deaths from your party. You get more wounded. So we already increased our riding. It increases the hit points to the horse by 6%. That's great. And we gained a focus point as well. And we're almost on our way to level 3. So as we increase, we want to increase some of these skills. As you increase the focus, it allows you to access some of the perks. We have 3 perks that we can access here under bow, 2 more that we can access under riding, which I'll give it the point. And then now we bring it to 3. And that'll help us because we're going to be doing a lot of riding. Could also do it into trade. Makes a profit from trading, and you have to make profits. So just keep an eye out on that. Stewardship is also very nice. It helps you. It helps with party morale when you get food variety and whatnot. Oh, one thing I did forget. I forgot to assign myself the quartermaster so I can get steward points going. But I think I'm going to keep it in writing. It takes a while for the steward to go up, so I'm going to do that. And then before I forget, I'm going to go to my clan tab, and I'm going to go ahead and assign myself as the quartermaster. That'll increase my stewardship point passively. And that happens with all these different ones. So once you get a scout, you can assign a scouting role, engineer role, or surgeon. But those things aren't as passive. Like engineer, you actually need to be at a siege, or I think managing castles in order for your engineering to go up. Scout is kind of passive on the map as you walk around. You passively gain the points for it. And surgeon is when you recover and sit there and recovering with your troops and yourself will increase your medicine, and that kind of is a passive thing, but you need to have injured people, which you probably will always have injured people. But the most passive here is quartermaster or scouting. You're always getting points as you lead your company. So right now I'm going to be looking for some looters as I head down to Poros. Maybe Zionica will be the next stop. Let's take a look. We can take a look and see what they got. Probably their production is just at the base. It's not that high up. Pick up an Imperial Recruit. Buy some products. cheap, not that high yet. Wool as well as another byproduct of it. And you can see here we have a trade rumor, can sell for Amadeus for 118. So that might be something we want to do. And don't buy all of it, because as you buy, you know, if I bought the whole, well, I could probably buy the whole thing now, but I'm going to pay 1,000 and I don't have enough for that. So I'm going to take just a couple and loop back to Amadeus and sell this. Sometimes the trade rumors are false, so they're not quite as high, but let's take a look. Oh, and we have a guy with a quest there. So he's fighting with somebody. Looks like they're fighting with the hidden hand, it looks like. Huh, interesting. They're already getting to war right away. So we're going to go inside and trade and see if the grain is actually any. Yeah, so you see here the grain is at selling for 18 and we bought it for 11. So this is going to give us some points, but it decreases our food. We only have food for 16 days. That's plenty fine. We're going to get some off of looters, and then I'm going to sell this pitchfork and sell some of the other items that I picked up. And then this is actually a profit, but Amadeus is even a bigger profit. So we're going to go ahead and go with that. We make a little bit of a profit here. And then we'll take a look and see what they have. Oh, and we see we gained a skill. We already leveled up. So that's kind of nice. Every 3 levels that you gain, you get an attribute point. So keep that in mind. We have another focus point available to us. Every time you level, you get a focus point. And in this one, I want to do... I think I'm going to go with tactics. Helps you win battles with difficult odds. It helps you do passive, you know, just send troop option. It gives you a buff in that. So it's pretty useful. Writing is already increasing pretty quickly. Stewardship hasn't increased once. Charm has increased once, and scouting has increased. We'll do one trade. Let's do trade. And then this guy with the question mark is Garion, I believe. Or, no, who is it? Galen, probably. That has the quest, and that ties into your quest here. Investigate Neretzes' folly. So in order to increase in this, you have to talk to nobles. As you explore Calradia, you learn more about your artifact and its importance by asking any lord or lady about the Empire's recent history. So as you get to 10, it unlocks the next part of your quest. You're also given the rebuild your clan. So we're slowly working towards that. We're trying to get our money up. We're trying to get our party size up. And as you fight and win tournaments and all those things, you gain renown, which increases your tier. And then also we're going to hire one companion. So we're going to be looking for companions as well. Just out of curiosity, we'll take a look. The bull, not so great. Not as strong as the other guy that we found. So we're going to leave here. We're going to head up to Amadeus to do our trade run. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to see if I can't talk to this guy. I don't know who it is. It's good to just introduce yourself, and then we're going to see here, is this important? I'm rather busy right now. Wow. What is Neretzes' folly? Oh, look. She actually has some info. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Well, that's what some people call the Great Battle of Pendaric in the year 1077. Emperor Neretzes led an army occupied by Khuzaits and the Azerai to fight a coalition of the Sturgians, Battanians, and Landians. Alright, so they're our historic enemies. But it was disaster for him. He died in it, but the victors didn't fare much better. So it's kind of like a Pyrrhic victory. I see. Is there anything else? Can you tell me about the Battle of Pendaric? Okay, so she doesn't know about that battle, which is what we need to investigate. So we're going to leave now. And we're going to go to the other party, which... I don't know who it is. I wish it... Let's just hit play. See when they separate and see if we can't get that arrow. Oop, I didn't mean to click on her. So I don't think it's her. Might be this guy right here. Leon... Oh, Ferron. Oh yeah, I think it's Ferron. Oh, Lucan. What the... Oh my goodness. There was just one here. Nemos. That's interesting. I Just saw that quest arrow. Usually that means that there's somebody there. He might have gone into the keep without us even noticing, I guess. Unless it was the Hidden Hand member. It might have been the Hidden Hand. And he's part of a minor faction. He's not part of the major factions. Okay, so I went here because sometimes I know that these olives sell pretty well in Poros. They sell for 49, so we're just going to pick up a couple. It also increases our food, so it isn't that much. We bought it for 49. We're going to go to Poros and see what we can sell it for. $39, so we actually lost some. But if we go to Amatateus, we might be able to... Oh, here we go. Here's a good looter size, 8 to my 9, or 9 to my 8. But we're going to pepper them early. And weaken them up, soften them up for our recruits. They're going to be just charging right at us, but we're going to kind of aggro them away from our troops. Just like I showed you in that last battle. Oof. There we go. They're just pelting my horse. They're mean. Now, as those two guys go, they're not going to really do much damage to our recruits. And even if we lose a couple of recruits, it isn't that big of a deal. But what we want to do is just soften these guys up. Man, my archery is terrible. And my horse is paying for my crappy archery. Just try to keep them aggroed. And you see on the top right that the Imperial recruits are killing some guys and they're gaining experience. Now, if you were Vlandians, that experience is increased by 20%. So that's why their faction perk is so nice. And as we're doing this, we're getting an increase. Don't let them get too close. And then these guys are just real easy pickings for those guys. And we're getting points as we run around. Yo. Bye-bye. Oh. F1, F3, attack, and we can see the guys back there taking care of that looter. There we go. And we got one guy captured. We killed the rest of them. And then we have Imperial recruits that they gain in experience, and then they can move on to the next tier. Each troop has a tree, so keep that in mind as you're going. I want to get some Busalaris, but they're a little bit difficult to get, so I'm going to be focusing early on in archery. The archers, they definitely kill a lot of the guys before they even get to you. So we'll just take those prisoners, take these weapons, and we'll head on over to Amatateus. And we got some gold off of that. We can also sell what we looted at these towns. So, oop, that's the training ground. I don't need to head there. Actually, I'm going to recruit a troop. Ooh. Eronios Zestea delivered her to Donastica. Maybe something that we do on the next episode. So we'll go ahead and engage these looters. Oh, I didn't even recruit the troops. I wanted to recruit some troops. Now we have a solid thing, but we have a 21 minus gold each turn. So probably should be going after these guys. Let me go after these guys. If I can reach them. They are traveling at 4.9. I'm at 5.1, but it might push them into this 12-man. Then we're in real trouble. No, doesn't look like it. Oh, this guy's taking forever. There we go. Mess with us and we'll sell our lives dearly. I don't care, brigand. Surrender or die. Die, brigand, die. So we're going to go ahead and attack. And you can send the troops and they will take care of it and auto-resolve it for you. But I don't suggest that early on. You need skill points anyways. So, there's 9 of them. Just be careful. Make sure they don't pelt you in the head with a rock. Or stab you with their stabby stabs. Just keep riding circles around them. Oh, one thing I failed to mention. Move in the same direction as I am. Counterclockwise, because you can only shoot from that direction. And now our archers are still shooting them. And we're aggroing these guys away. So they come in slowly, trickle in. And I'm just going to send the guys in. We have gotten some points. And we need to get our troops some experience as well. There we go. Right in the neck. Got you in the carotid. Alright. And we get renown and morale each time that happens. 2 prisoners. Some increased troops. And your prisoners over time, depending on the level that they are, will want to join your army. Looters don't cost you anything, so they're not actually bad to have in your army. Oh, I sent them all away. And that's how you recruit them in. Now we have a looter in here. Very minimal thing. They're just basically going to be, fodder. We're just going to let them take a lot of the damage, as opposed to our recruits that are going to be worth something. Now, if you have disciplinarian, if you focused on getting that trait in leadership, that's why I thought leadership was important to get some points in. Eventually, once you get disciplinarian, which is right here, you'll be able to revert bandits into regular troops, and it just basically keeps on expanding their tree. So I'll show you what that means. You have looter here, and they can expand into a imperial elite Manapolitan or a imperial legionnaire, and these are actually pretty strong base units for infantry wise, so they're pretty good infantrymen, so keep that in mind. You can advance your looters, but you can't do it unless you have disciplinarian. So we'll head up to Amethatias, however you guys pronounce it. I have no idea. See if we can't sell this wool that we got and get some looters out of our way as we go through. Could have gone and got that one, but he's kind of out of the way. Nothing too exciting. Alright. We have a quest here. Artisans can't sell their products in Amethatias. We'll look at that quest when we get back to our next episode. For right now, I'm just going to finish up a couple things. Trade this out. Let's see what we got for wool. 72. We make a bonus, but we do make a profit. It's not bad. But it wasn't that big of a increase. It wasn't hardly any. So, and that's it, I guess, guys. This will be a nice intro. Like and subscribe. Leave any comments down below, any questions or anything that you saw, any tips or helpful little things that you've encountered in your campaigns would be great if you drop them down in the comments. Anything goes a long way to help support the channel. I'm just growing, so please feel free to like any of these videos, and I appreciate it. And as always, guys, enjoy your gaming.